Alright y'all, so today I'm going to do a video on why you should not paint your house with latex paint. Alright, let me see if I can get a good angle of this. Be able to show y'all worth anything. Can y'all see up there all that paint that's peeling? Or if I show you down the eaves. Now all of my house is not wood. This is asbestos. We're not going to get into the asbestos talk today because I know how people are. People think I'm going to get cancer just standing next to it. But that's not quite how that works. But anyway, that's not what we're here to discuss. Latex paint is actually a horrible paint for wood. Horrible. It's probably the worst one. You can just see where everywhere on the eaves where it's peeling. Now this asbestos, I did paint with latex. Because asbestos was never a living product. Wow. I didn't notice that. Up under there, it kind of missed a little spot. Anyway, I have not painted back here yet. I'm going to paint back here when I paint under the carport and all that, because all the carport's getting redone because whoever built it was an idiot. But that's a whole other story. But if you look up there, you can see it peeling pretty bad too. This was never a living thing. Asbestos has always been... By the way, it's only 5% asbestos. So that's another reason why people are so off when they talk about this stuff. It's not 100% asbestos. It's 5%. All the rest of it is like concrete. They used to use asbestos back in the day the same way they use fiberglass now, because you can get replacement tiles for this, which some of these tiles are replacements. I had some broken ones that I had to replace, and the replacements are made out of concrete and fiberglass instead of the asbestos. The asbestos took the place of fiberglass took this place of asbestos, basically, in some stuff. But anyway, not talking about asbestos. We're talking about paint. So, because I'm about to get back on painting this house and showing y'all why you shouldn't use latex on your house, especially if it's wood. If it's not wood, if it's vinyl siding or something else, feel free to use asbestos. But if you see all where it's wood, it looks like trash. Now, ignore the rot and stuff over the carport. Once again, whoever built that was an idiot. So let me go over here and show y'all. Wood is a natural product. Even though you cut it down and you use it, it still expands and contracts with the seasons, with the weather, with all of that. So here, these are some paint buckets, right? But I want to show y'all what I got out of the paint buckets. This is the latex paint that was in there. And look how thick and hard it is. I peeled it all out in one piece. That's from 2 different buckets. I'm going to try to show y'all. Right here, there's still a little bit left. So you see how it just coats and it peels right off in one piece? Now, why is that bad for wood? When wood expands and contracts, this isn't going to expand and contract with it. What it's going to do is just lift up and peel off. See what I'm saying? Any little movement in this, and it lifts up and peels off. Now, yeah, it does take a while to do that, but that's what it's going to do. So you wonder why, if you have wood aspects of your house, you're painting them every 5 to 10 to maybe 15 years if it lasts that long. That's why. Because latex paint actually was an inferior paint when they created it, and they knew it was inferior. But why did they create it? Because the petroleum industry doesn't believe in waste. See, latex paint has a lot of petroleum-based things in it. And they basically didn't want to waste. So they were like, we got to use this extra stuff. So they started making latex-based paints and things of that nature and selling them as if they were the greatest thing since sliced bread, when they weren't. Especially not for wood application. Like I said, vinyl siding, asbestos siding, whatever, paint it. That stuff does not expand and contract, but wood does. So what a lot of people don't know is the history of painting houses. Back in the day, people only painted the house about 50 years or so. If you had to paint your house before 50 years, you were only doing it because you wanted to change the color. You weren't painting your house out of necessity. Also, oil-based paints, they actually soak into the wood and help to protect the wood. You might ask how? Well, when we talk about oil-based paints or oil and water do not mix. So when it rains, your paint naturally repels the water from your house, so that the wood in turn does not soak up the water. It simply beads up and rolls right off the house. But the oil-based paint, since it soaks into the grain of the wood, actually allows the wood to expand and contract. So therefore, the paint will not ever flake and peel off, such as this latex paint does. It'll never do that. It'll move with the wood. Now, you can paint over it as many times as you want. You'll never have to scrape again, which that's the worst part of painting a house, especially a house that's had latex paint on it. The scraping is the freaking worst, because that's what takes the longest. And it takes the most labor, and it's tedious. And to be honest with you, that's the part of painting my house that I hated the most, was the prep, scraping, and I'm still scraping. There's still more scraping to do, because all of that flaking, peeling paint has to come off before you're able to paint over it and make a nice looking paint job. Now, you can paint over it if you want it to look like trash, but I don't. So that's that. So this is pretty much the intro and a little information for people, especially if you're doing a historic home. Please, people, get oil-based paints. And I will talk about, I'll do a video on what paint I used, why I used it, and some of the options of paint that you have. I'll be honest, even if you don't have wood on your house, I still recommend oil. Oil still is going to repel water. You know, like I said, oil and water just doesn't mix. And it just naturally repels the water and stuff on its own. So, I don't laugh at my wood pile. I'm a gardener, so I got this wood breaking down for a reason. But anyway, I just happen to have these buckets here, though. But yeah, so I still kind of recommend oil-based paints. I recommend oil-based paints in the house, especially because, specific oil-based paints, because they do not off-gas, whereas regular oil-based paints and things off-gas like crazy. And if you have children, I do not recommend that you have your children in that home breathing those fumes. Even though you can't smell them, that paint is still off-gassing for up to a year, I think I read. And I could see that. Organic volatile components, or VOCs, it's organic volatile compounds, I'm sorry. They actually off-gas well past when you can noticeably smell them. They're still off-gassing, and you're still breathing that stuff in even when you can't smell it. So, yeah, I don't recommend you have that around kids. Now, grown people, if you want to breathe that in, go right ahead. But let's try not to ruin our children. If we don't protect anything else, can we at least protect the children and the animals too? You don't want to kill your pets with all that. So, like I said, this is the intro to me finishing up painting my house, because I really need to get that done. And if you guys got any comments or what have you, leave them in the comments. I'll do a video on the kind of paint that I ended up using. I'm really pleased with it, and just how you go about doing this. All right, so till next time, see you guys later.